Welcome back, beautiful people, to another episode of Nija Knows. And we have the beautiful Tori and the beautiful Nika.
Hi.
And we are back. And
Who are you?
I'm Felicia.
Hey, girl. Hey, girl.
So we're back with another episode, and this episode is actually going to be about narcissism, narcissistic people with narcissistic tendencies.
Yes, what it's like to be with traits. A narcissist.
Yeah,
very
we all
interesting
have experiences.
Conversation. Yes,
we all have stories that we could tell about being with people who are narcissistic. But before we get to that, we're going to do our tips, travel tips, fitness tips, and our quirky stories, random facts.
All right. I'll start. Yes, I'll start. So, of course, my random facts always start usually with a story. How did this come about? So the other day I went in my closet to get a towel and I'm looking at the wall like, what is that? It was a lizard in my closet, which scared me. I'm not necessarily scared of lizards, but I don't like things that don't announce themselves, basically. Like, let me know you in the house so I know what I need to do. Right. Don't just sneak up on me, you know?
Let me get your bed ready.
Like, hey girl, hey. I'm like, wait a minute, how'd you get here? So of course I had to look up some stuff about lizards, which I think we all know they're reptiles, and there's more than 5,500 species. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Yes, there are 5,500 species of reptiles, lizards being one of them. Even within that lizard family, there's thousands of different types of lizard. We talked about iguanas, I think, on the first one. But they are a descendant or a relative of the snake, which we can see why. It just looks like a snake with legs.
Yes.
And there's all different types of lizards. Skinks, those are ones we have in Florida a lot. Those are the ones with the skinks. Those are the ones with the black and red. You know, I used to call them salamanders, but they're actually called skinks, I believe. I think that's what they are.
The salamanders are the white-looking ones that come out at night, right?
Yeah, these look.
I actually don't mind salamanders. I think they're kind of cute. But like, you say skanks, like
Skink.
Okay. I thought we were calling them hoes. I was like, all right, skanks. Seems appropriate.
I think that's what those other ones are called. I don't see a picture here, but either way, we know there's a lot of different types of lizards. In Florida, we got these regular green ones. They actually camouflage because if you notice, they do change their color. I've seen one actually, he ran away from me onto the dark wood and he actually started to turn dark, which I thought was pretty cool, but I still wanted him out.
I know that. That's cool.
So that's my random fact is that, lizards are creepy and there's a lot of them. So be careful.
Too many.
Don't belong in the house. Don't belong in the house. Yes. I have my travel one. I just got back into town. And I think we've all had TSA frustrations, inconsistencies, if you will, on what you can take on the plane and what you can't. Right. One airport says you can bring these things. Another one says you can't. And then you get all huffy and puffy when they throw away small bottles of lotions and creams and all of that nature. So I looked it up because I wanted to be very clear, because I had just bought some sugar scrub and like a cream, like the potted cream as like a lotion versus liquid lotion. I was like, okay, I should be good. So going to my destination, going to DC, everything was fine. Went through TSA, had no problems. Everything was hunky-dory. I go through DC to go back to Tampa, and they pull out my hair gel, which, mind you, there was only like this much in there. And they threw away the whole thing of sugar scrub, which I just bought. And they threw away the whole new pot of whipped shea butter. And I was like, none of that's liquid. And trying not to lose my cool, which I have a problem with TSA people anyway, because
I feel like they pick and choose.
They do, to have like weak as shit in real life, but then want to use their power to just annoy the fuck out of you.
Mm-hmm.
And my issue is that it's just so inconsistent across the board. So like I said, I flew in one way, went through TSA, no problem. Came back in, he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to throw these away. You can't have these. They're, you can't have liquids." And I was like, "These aren't."
And you
liquids.
didn't say anything?
I know, I sure did. I was like, "These aren't liquids." I was like, it's not liquid. And then, but he let me keep a bottle of perfume, like a tall, like body spray perfume. I was like, you realize, I was like, I'm not trying to be mean or rude, but you understand the inconsistency that's happening, right? I was like, I flew in this way and came through TSA and those were fine. Why is it not fine now? He's like, well, you probably checked it. I was like, if I checked it, I would have told you that I was going to, that I checked it. I didn't check it. It was a carry-on. Same way it's coming in is the same way it's going out. I was like, so why are we throwing this away? I just bought these. Like, it's full. Come on.
No.
Okay. And he just, of course, he has like the complex, like, well, I don't know. I can't answer that, but you can't take them. Do you want to? I was like, no, I don't want to fucking ship it. Throw it away now. And me, I'm petty. I had him open it and dump it because if you're not
gonna use my shit.
It's Sally Betty that's aggravating people on the other side is not gonna take my scrub.
Right.
No, if we losing it, we losing it. And I've done this before, and they will get real mad, and I don't care. You just taking that home at the end of the day anyway.
Exactly.
I understand, but I think that it is important to read the official rules. So it says you are allowed to bring a quart-sized bag of liquids, aerosols, gels, creams, and paste in your carry-on bag through the checkpoint. These are limited to travel size containers that are 3.4%. So, and that's the liquids rule. So they are including things like gels and creams and paste as liquid officially. So yes, they do have the lawful right to not pass those things through. So just be aware of that. It's annoying. It's real agitating. And most of the time you'll be able to leave one way, but coming back, it'll be a problem. At some point, you risk losing some very wonderful sugar scrub.
Oh,
so just be mindful of that.
Oh, I was eating. Security, come get this lady. She's slipping out.
I'm gonna have to explain this to me. No, just dump it out. He was like, I'm just gonna sit there. No, you can dump it out.
Dump it out.
No, go ahead and scrape it out. You got gloves on.
If we ever get a collect call, we know it's Tori. All right.
Where? Put everything in the little travel tubes, containers. Just be aware or check your bags.
All right. Okay. Fitness.
Yes.
It is very, 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 very important to get adequate sleep when trying to reach your fitness goals. If you're, hitting the gym heavy, 5-6 days a week, an hour, and you're only getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night, you're not giving your body enough time to recover, just to repair itself. You're just not giving your body enough time to do what it needs to do after you just beat it up in the gym. So please, people, get at least, I get about 6 or 7 hours of sleep. I would love to get 12. It's not ideal for me right now.
Feasible at the moment.
No, but I would definitely love to sleep about 12 hours, but 6 to 8 hours of sleep a night. Just make sure you are.
Right.
That is definitely, I just want one night of it though. Just one night, just 12 hours, maybe a little bit more, just to, really get that good sleep in. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely important when you're constantly in the gym and you're beating up your body, you have to get adequate sleep. I think a lot of people forget that part. They're going to the gym, they're drinking their water, they're meal prepping and they're portion controlling, and they're not seeing anything happen. You have to get sleep. Sleep right. is highly, highly important. So sleep, people. Sleep is good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I have to remind myself that.
Yes.
Go to sleep, nigga. It'll be done tomorrow. You'll be fine.
Sit down, child. Sit down.
Anywhere.
Right?
Anywhere. If I'm not actively engaged, I'm knocked out.
Sleep.
Just because my eyes opened them.
Sleep with eyes open. All right. Narcissism.
Yeah.
I think that it's important that we define it first, because I feel like, you know, that's the tagline these days. Narcissist. Oh, you're a narcissist. You're a narcissist. Everybody is a narcissist. I think we all have a little bit in us.
Yes, we all have narcissistic traits.
Right.
We all do. I mean, it's just, you know, we can become not overly, but we all are a little self-absorbed. Mm-hmm. But when it is part of your character and who you are as a person in its entirety is, I think, what makes you a narcissist. But the definition of a narcissist, oh crap, I had it. Excuse me, people. Hold on. Hold on.
My stuff back up too.
Here it is. So a narcissist, the definition of a narcissist is a person who has an excessive interest in or admiration of themselves. Narcissists who think the world revolves around them. Narcissists preening themselves in front of the mirror. That's an example that they gave. That's just, you know, one example of what a narcissist is, but it definitely goes a lot deeper than that. It's, you know, how they talk to you, how they treat other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hold on. What are some of you guys' experience dealing with narcissistic individuals?
Definitely in the relationship space.
Yeah.
Where I think a lot of people really realize that they're dealing with narcissists, because narcissism it's essentially a lack of empathy. So, like, to your point, a lot of people just throw it around. If someone's being selfish, oh, you're being a narcissist. And it's like, no, that's a narcissistic trait. Like, to be a full narcissist, there's like a full, like, 9 symptom breakdown kind of thing. But it can be a truly, like, mental disorder, behavioral disorder that is destructive if you come across it in a personality, because it's so hard to pin down, because it can also look like psychopathy and sociopathy, kind of like falls in that realm.
Yeah, I've dealt with it in the relationship space. I mean, I can think of people I know that probably are a little narcissistic, but not, you know, probably wouldn't be diagnosed as that. Well, maybe a couple would be, but one in particular, yeah. And just, I think I've referred to him before on the podcast, but Cray. That's his name from now on. But that definitely, the inflated sense of importance. Like, I remember one time, and it was so weird. Like, I felt like he purposely wanted to be the opposite of whatever it was. If he thought it was something everybody thought, he was just going to be the opposite just because, not because he actually had a valid point on the other side. It was just, he just wanted to make sure that he's the only one, he's not part of a bandwagon. So I remember he would always talk about, he was getting to these arguments with his dad and stuff. He would call me, you know, about Obama and whether or not Obama was an actual effective president for Black people. And everybody has their opinions. You can look up facts and formulate your own opinion. But what I found was the way he would talk about Obama, it wasn't necessarily whether he agreed with Obama's policies and things that happened during the Obama administration. It was more so he felt the way Black people look at Obama, most Black people, or a lot of Black people, he felt like Black people should look at him that way. Because he called me one day all upset in tears, you know, because he felt like he's a failure. And he felt like he was a failure. And I was, you know, pumping him up. You're this and you're that. Don't talk about you, you know, that type of thing. And he's talking and he's like, you know, do you know, or he asked me if I ever felt like I failed someone's expectations. And I was like, well, yeah. And I talked about my experience as a pastor's child and getting pregnant and all these other things. No, that's different. That's different. No, it's the same thing. No, it's different. I mean, you know, I was raised, and he's talking about how, you know, he was in all these different programs because he thought he was like super, super smart, which he was smart academically. And, you know, I was supposed to be a Black leader. I was like, well, what's stopping you from being a Black leader? Well, you know, people are so ungrateful. We're not, and he's telling the story about his job, how he was fighting for their paychecks and nobody said thank you to him. I said, well, if you're a leader, if you're a true leader, you'll know that leadership is a thankless job. Like you're doing it for the purpose of the betterment. Yeah, you're not always going to get a thank you or a pat on the back or a great job. A lot of times it's not till you die that people are like, oh wait, he was great. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not going to get that. And the more he would talk about it and the whole Obama thing, it was just like, okay, I get it. He wants people to look at him the way
he wanted to be praised.
Yes. And that's all it was about. Because even when it came to like relationships with other women, I'm like, why all your friends are women, and not just women that are friends, but women you used to mess around with. Like you can't seem to let go of that tie. Like you have to be in touch. And he admitted to me that part of it was, and part of his attraction to me was I made him feel better about himself. So part of his attraction, not wanting to cut that tie, is because he'll do the crying thing. And then all these women now are, oh, you're so great. You're so great. You know, and that's what was boosting his ego.
Boosted ego.
Yeah. Come to find out, you know, he on pills and all types of stuff. But for antidepressants, yes, antidepressants. And I feel like he was addicted to them. Now that I look at him, like, yeah, that number of pills he was taking, he was probably addicted to them as well. But it was like later on when I stepped back, you know, and looked at it like, dang, because even sometimes he would talk to me and I would say, you know, say a word. Let's say the word is narcissism. Oh, you don't know what that means. And I'll say the exact, no, let me look it up. Oh, you're right. You're right. Like, yeah, and I'd be like, why are you talking to me like I'm stupid? You know, he was just
because he has to be smarter than you.
Exactly. We got into this whole thing. He wanted to compare SAT scores. He wanted me to find my SAT score from high school.
Ew.
He had lost his rabbit ass. And I'm like, what the hell?
Do you know I graduated from high school like 18, 17 years ago? You think I have no idea. I don't even know where
no one actually cares.
Right.
in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. I don't know. So the 9 signs, and you kind of like hit on a good part of them. So there's grandiosity, which is an exaggerated sense of self-importance, feeling superior to others, and that one and feeling that you're the one that deserves special treatment. Feelings are often accompanied by fantasies of unlimited success, brilliance, power, beauty, or love. So that's grandiosity. And then you have number 2, which is excessive need for admiration. That's where my narcissist sat. Must be the center of attention, often monopolizes conversations. They always feel slighted, mistreated, depleted, and enraged when ignored. And then number 3, superficial and exploitative relationships. Relationships are based on surface attributes and not the unique qualities of the other person. They're only valued to the extent that they are viewed as beneficial. That was another big one of mine. And then lack of empathy. So that was lack of empathy one. That one I dug into, you know, after the fact, because what you realize is that a lot of times people especially with that particular symptom, they don't actually feel the emotion, but what they are good at is imitating what they think they're supposed to feel in that moment. And so they've observed, and that's where the gaslighting comes in. That's where the manipulation comes in. They get to know, like my narcissist got to know all of my fears and weaknesses and strengths, and he used that to model himself into what he thought I wanted. Mm-hmm. And there would be times where he would just outright mimic what he thought he was supposed to be feeling in any situation based on what he thought I wanted him to feel about it, not necessarily what he felt about it. And it was a very strange like factor to be able to kind of like feel like, are you actually feeling this? Or because sometimes the emotion he wouldn't get it right, and it would be the wrong emotion. And it's like,
why are you reacting that way?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Why are you
that's
reacting
wrong.
That way? Right. That's not necessarily correct. And then when they don't feel like things are going their way, like there's a lot of massaging of like the ego, which was very draining to have to like keep going in and being like, it's okay, no, you're good. And to hear him be like, they don't deserve that, I deserve that. They, and talk so nastily about people.
Yes.
And then try to pretend to be like this good knight in shining armor in front of everybody.
Girl.
Yes.
It was just very like, where'd that come from? And why'd you say that about you? What did you just say about them? Like, they don't fucking deserve that. I deserve it. And why do you deserve it? What did you do to deserve it that they don't deserve it? And never would have an answer other than like, I know my worth. And I'm like, are you sure? Because you sure don't.
I think they think they do, but they really, really don't.
You find that they're actually very weak.
Yes.
Emotionally weak.
But I don't think you notice that until if it's in a romantic relationship, you don't realize that until you're out of it.
Mm-hmm. Because if they choose you, that means that they are choosing you because they think that you are either on their level or that you can look the way that they deserve to look.
Right, that they deserve. Exactly.
Of just the benefit of you. Mine wanted my brain space. It was like, I need you to do all the, the number of things that I can't do. And
Alicia,
he was trying to.
Oh, go ahead.
No.
He was trying to. Oh, okay. Felicia, you dealt with somebody who's actually has been diagnosed as a narcissist. Clinically diagnosed. So what's that like?
It was I was young, so I didn't realize it at the time. Of course, years and years had went by, and I'm like, okay, this behavior isn't right because I saw it now. Since he couldn't get to me, he was projecting it, onto a minor. Some of the stuff dealing with cameras, microphones in the house, taps on my computer to pick up my keystrokes to get my passwords, very manipulative. Anytime a conversation would come up, I was always made to seem like I was the one who was losing my mind and I had no idea what I was talking about, making me second guess myself like, okay, well, shouldn't I have done that? Should I be doing this? Did I really do something wrong? It wasn't until recently I'm like, okay, to deal with a person like that, you can't feed into their stuff. You literally just have to sit back and say, okay, well, if that helps, whatever helps. The best thing I love to say, whatever helps you sleep at night.
Yeah,
but they don't. They don't, and that's why I do it because it pisses them off. Mm-hmm. And at that point, they have nobody to blame, and they get mad at you. Yes, but it literally stops them in their tracks because you're not fueling their fire. But it was, I will say, being young and dealing with someone like that, it was very scary because I have no real life experience. I don't know what's going on. I think I'm thinking I am actually the problem at that point. Like it's me, like I'm doing something wrong and I have to fix myself because this person is saying, well, you're not doing this and you need to fix this and you're doing that wrong. And you.
Mm-hmm. He's feeding off that.
When I broke things off with Cray Cray, that's pretty much what it was. I think what sent him into like this, like sort of, it is so funny because he ended up like sending me letters and all. Just for y'all that don't know, he sent me letters and all types of stuff. But the very first letter he sent me was 3 pages long, and reading it was like literally reading somebody's mental state, going like up to normal and then down to some weird stuff that you don't know what he's talking about. Because the letter was like, he was fine. Oh, I'm okay with us breaking up, blah, blah. And then it went down to the you did this and you did. I'm thinking like, I really didn't do anything. We didn't even live in the same city. So it's not even like we even saw each other that much in person. Like everything was like mostly phone conversations or video chatting. And then going back up to, yeah, but you're so great. But then you did it. And it was just like, what the hell? So I closed it up. I wish I had kept it now, but I threw it away. And I was like, okay, whatever. He got his little feelings out. And then, some time passed. He started sending me things in the mail. His mom had made, I guess she makes like coasters or something out of like tiles. And then, so of course she don't know what's going on. So she sent them to me and put the little note that he told her to put. And it was like, I'm going to bust through those walls like John, some story person. I can't think of the name right now. And I'm thinking like, what the hell? What does that mean? So I looked up the person just to make sure I'm clear. And the person, whoever it was, I wish I could think of the name right now. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. But the story is that they went to whoever they were fighting and blew up the wall and all that. So that's basically what he was saying. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So I called. I'm like, leave me the fuck alone. Like I'm going off, whatever. Then fast forward a couple months later, he had left like a few like toiletries at my house, like some soap and, deodorant, nothing big. Oh, I had blocked him, but he was like sending me emails. I didn't even know I have a Hotmail email address that I just use for stores. When they ask, I never check it because it's just junk. There's nothing
It's
important
trash. It's your
goes
trash
there.
email.
Yeah. So I just happened to look in there one day. I was looking for something and I saw like, oh shit, he's sending me emails at the Hotmail. I'm like, how do you even get this address? I don't even know because I don't give it out other than to stores. And same thing, you can see like the emotional, ups and downs in it. And then he showed up at my house, twice, had to cuss him out about that. Second time I called the police actually. And they, police don't do nothing. They basically got to punch you in the face, drag you down the street, put you in a bush somewhere before the police will actually do something. They're like, oh, we can file like a report. Maybe you could do harassment. But even when you start looking at the specifics of filing a harassment claim against somebody or a stalking or whatever, this is very specific. And I'm like, dang, well, I don't have the letter. I don't have, my evidence. And he didn't threaten me, physical harm. So it's like, well, he's just, getting his feelings out. That's pretty much how they look at it. And then it got to the point, fast forward, I'm thinking everything is okay. And then he sends me this, I guess he showed up at my house again. That was the third time actually, because I think I called you, Tori. And I peek out the door and he's standing there and I'm just like, what the fuck are you? I'm cousin. Slam the door, call the police. Then like a week later, Amazon, I come home, there's an Amazon package. And I'm thinking like, did I order something from Amazon? And I go to open it because I didn't look at the label. Obviously, I'm assuming it's me. Like maybe I forgot. I'm pulling up my Amazon account. I turn it over and I see he didn't put his name. He lived in Boston. He just put the Boston guy and put the address. Now, mind you, this time before that, when he showed up at my house, he showed up in his car. He lives in Boston. So like he drove, I guess he was moving down. I don't know what the fuck, but I know he was at my house in his car. So this motherfucker came all the way from Boston to Tampa. Like this is crazy. But anyway, in the package was another letter, a knife, and not like a little pocket knife, a knife. Like you stab someone, knife, a self-alarm that you pull and it does the siren. And it was one other thing. Or no, those were the two things in it, and a letter. And the letter basically said, this is my, I know you only have that knife under your bed. Now, mind you, I know he's a licensed gun carrier and he has multiple guns. But you're going to give me a knife. I know you got guns, but you're going to give me a knife. But I would keep a knife under my bed. He's like, I know you have that knife under your bed, but this one is going to be better for you. After this, I'm going to leave you alone. This is my last. He thought he was being chivalrous. And it was just like,
there's nothing chivalrous about it.
And every time it was
weird.
always his last. And it was weird because every time he came around, it was always, this is my last time. This is my last time. This is my last time. And I'm like, when is the last time? It's been like over a year. This went on for over a year that he was doing this. And then part of it was he didn't, I don't think he really cared that it ended, but he wasn't the one to end it. It didn't end on his terms because I just cut him off. Yep. And y'all know how I am about blocking.
That was a no-no. That was a no-no.
Like, how dare you?
Can't do that.
No, you're going to hear me. You're going to listen to me.
I'm Barack Obama incarnate.
Yes.
You're going to admire me. Here's this knife. Take it. Protect yourself. That's my last will and my last effort to oh my God.
He really thought he was the HNIC, like for real.
He really did. And it was so weird because he would talk about, I remember one time he went to this whole thing about the Migos. And I'm like, the rap group, the Migos.
Yeah.
This is so weird. You realize that you're like 15 years old and these guys. They're like in their young 20s and you talking about them. Yeah, but I feel like, and he felt like he should be on the status as the Migos as far as music because he was
like, what work did he put in to even compare himself to the people songs. At that level?
He had a couple of songs.
He did what now?
He had a couple of like rap songs. There was one
that was actually
good. That was good. And then the rest, I remember one time we were in the car, I was in Boston. He was like, oh, you want to listen to my song? I was like, oh no, he was down here. And he's like, oh, you should put my music on. I was like, oh no, I only listened to songs one time.
Exactly. Was it good? No,
it wasn't good. It wasn't that good.
That's symptom number 5. So identity disturbance.
Yes.
Sense of self is highly superficial, extremely rigid, and often fragile. Self-stability depends on maintaining the view that one is exceptional. Grandiose sense of self is easily threatened. Patients retreat from or deny realities that challenge that grandiose reality.
Yeah. I mean, when I think it was you, Tori, actually, when you and the other one broke up and you were sending me things, I was like, oh shoot, like
Yeah.
he fits that to a T. And what's so funny is like we dated like back in the day, like a long time ago, and he met my parents. And you know, I asked my parents what they thought. My mom was just like, he needs to be a Christian. That was her thing. Are you a Christian or not? My dad was just like, he's a charmer. Protect your heart. And that was all my dad said. That was all he said about him. And when I tell you my dad was 100% correct, because I'm pulling up this, what's it like to be, you know, what are the signs to recognize a narcissist or, you know, to be in a relationship with a narcissist. And the first one says they're charming AF. They're charming at first.
Yes.
That's the number one on the list. Like, yeah.
They do what they need
charming.
to do to get you. Once they get you in their grasp, it's a wrap. It's like a spider trying to get you into their web. After it's a wrap after that.
One of them says they feed off your compliments. I remember one time I was doing my little, you can do it. And he was like, that's why I love you so much, because, you know, I can feed off of your energy. And I remember thinking about
it. He's sucking all your energy.
Sucking me dry of my energy.
They need a source. Whatever they can get from you, they're going to get it from you. However, they feel like they can do that. It's insane.
I've never experienced that part of it. It was the nasty part of it. It was, I mean, just, it was mean. I mean, I'm to the point where I'm literally sitting like ugly sobbing because their words, when they talk to you, they can literally make you feel this big. Like you just ain't shit. That's the part that I experienced. All that other, I got the nasty part.
Mine, we broke up, and this is the same thing, like years of me not quite understanding, like, what is this? What is it about him that keeps making me like not trust him, and having that trust, that non-trust warranted. But then after we broke up, there was this thing where he was like trying to like love bomb me. Oh, you know, but you're my queen, and oh, well, I love you, and you were the back, can't breathe,
trying to suck
right
you back
without
in.
you, and you know, like all this other stuff, because he sent me a letter as well. I got a college type essay. This thing had like subject headers and like broken down.
You did what now?
It was very to the same your point, it was very up and down. It was like, I love you, we should be together. I know I made all these mistakes. I know I completely lied to your face. I know I completely, like, you know, broken your trust over the years. I know, but then it became like, but you can't be mad at me kind of thing. And then it was like, I only did those things because I thought that you had secrets too. I had secrets.
Turning it back on you.
Made it about me. And I assumed that you had secrets too. So that's why I did the things that you did. And you always questioned me, even though you were right. You always questioned me. You didn't trust me. All you had to do was trust me. And I would have let all of that other stuff go on the outside. And I was like, you realize that makes absolutely no sense, right? Absolutely no sense. Wow. And there was always this sense of like having to, like, he had this weird void that I was always like just having to like dump energy into. But what I realized is that was the lack of empathy that he had, and that was just a hole that it's a bottomless pit. There's absolutely nothing that you'll ever be able to do to like fill that void. And I was like draining myself trying to like help and save. And that's typically what they do. They will prey on people that have a lot of emotional energy to give.
Here's a question. Do we think narcissists it's just something that people are just naturally born with, or is this due to trauma?
That's some research that I did. So that's actually the difference between narcissism and sociopathy. So it's generally thought that narcissism is almost a learned, trained behavior from trauma and from, you know, like how you're raised. And then sociopathy, which shares a lot of the same characteristics and symptoms as narcissists, is something that is inherently like that you're born with.
Okay, so it's almost like a coping, like that's what they do to protect themselves.
But it's
as they're hurting other people.
But it's become part of their personality at this point. Like it's ingrained.
Yeah.
And so that's why like therapy may or may not work for people with narcissistic personality.
It's very hard, and especially and you know, believe it or not, the older you get, it's really hard to treat something, because there's no medication for it. And there's just so many different, categories. It's very hard the older you are to treat something like that. And I know that just from, the situation I'm dealing with now.
Yeah. Yeah, because I feel like, once you're a certain age, you pretty much are set in your ways, take like an act of God to change you.
To come down.
And like, change, my child, change.
But narcissists, a lot of narcissists don't know that they're narcissists.
Right.
And that's another thing, that because they don't think they're narcissists, and of course they're not going to, because then that diminishes their world, their view of themselves.
Right.
They're not going to go to therapy for it. They're not going to address it. And so they just keep performing. So my ex, what's interesting is that a couple of years before that, when there was a situation where he was just layering us on top of people, this layering, relationships unknowingly. It's one thing if you're open relating and and you're poly or whatever, but if the idea is a monogamous relationship and you're just unknowingly stacking people who don't want to be a part of that, that's evil. But the one that did pop up, she was like, be careful. She's like, he is a narcissist. She's like, you're not going to see it, but you'll figure it out. And I was just thinking that she was just using the word just because she was hurt, over the situation and what was happening, but she was 100% correct. There was a childlike immaturity to how he saw the world. And when you get mad at a child and they throw temper tantrums and they're just like, why are you mad at me? You can't be mad at me. Don't be mad at me. It's wrong to be mad. It was a very childlike issue, probably steeped in abandonment issues, that he had based on, because he was, in his case, he was adopted. And so that definitely, I'm sure, carried some things that I knew there's some things that he just hadn't worked through on that, but it gets very apparent, and it's very scary the way that they study essentially their victims and will gaslight you.
Yeah, it's like
I felt bad for not trusting him, even though there was zero reason to ever trust him. You beat yourself up about it.
Right. Like you're right. They study you, because like I remember in that situation, like there were very specific things, and I would just be like, oh, I want this or I want that, and he would get that very exact thing. Now at the time I was like, oh, that's sweet, oh, he got me exactly what I wanted. He was listening. He was listening. All right,
yeah. Well, and
the thing was, he wasn't buying just me. It was other people. He was buying what they wanted to. It was like, oh, okay. All right. So
everybody got something different.
Everybody
got, so like the last straw for me before we broke up, someone else had come out of, the mud, and it was like, hey, I don't mean to hurt you, but sorry. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, I'm done. I was like, but what story he had a whole different name for her that she went by with him. He had gotten to know her kids, the personality, she would lifestyle. He told her that he used to be a spy. Like, this man ain't no damn spy. Chabu. I was like, and you believe that? That's what I was like, and you believe that? But I get it. The story that he weaves,
it was real.
Was real to him in the way that he told her. And I'm sure that whoever else he was dealing with too got their own personalized story that made him the absolute hero of everything. And I remember every story he told me about, this person hurt me, this person hurt me, this person hurt me, this person. And I was like, well, damn, how many people, have hurt you? But of course they tell it in a way that makes them the perpetual victim. And then you're just like, oh no, well, let me help you. You're wonderful. You're sweet. You're this, and that, and I remember there was one point where he didn't come off as the good guy, and the people didn't like him initially.
Oh, and that bothered him.
It bothered him. He couldn't get over it. And then he got nasty, like real quick. I was like, well, what happened to that nice demeanor that you had beforehand? And your family, your family calls it too. He met my family. Like I finally brought him around my family, and my sister was like,
not impressed.
She's like, he's handsome, but she's like, why he closed up like that? Like he didn't know, it was too many people that he hadn't researched yet, and he didn't know how to appease all of them in like a new setting.
It was overload for him.
It was overload for him. Yeah, because he didn't have the upper hand. And my family is very strong-willed, and we like to roast people, and everybody can get some. And it's in the spirit
he
of
wasn't with it.
He wasn't ready. He wasn't ready. He sat there. Whereas normally, like where I would see him, he was usually like this. He usually would fill the room, and he gets into a room.
So, but bringing him into that situation, you shrunk him.
He
was mad at you
for all of 6'2", 250. He was the smallest thing in the room, and even like my niece wanted to like roast him, like, what's your problem? Like he just was just so. And I was like, what's wrong with you? I was like, you never act like this, and But then he's like, well, what do they think about me? How do they feel? Do they think that I laughed that one time at that one joke? Is that going to be okay? Is your dad impressed? Is everybody impressed? And I'm like, no. I was like, my 80-year-old aunt was impressed with your pectoral muscles. That was
a lot of times they are like very weak emotionally. Very weak. And definitely with the making up stories. I remember I always think this is such an awkward moment. We had, I was in Boston or whatever, and he bought tickets to a Latin jazz. I love live music and concerts, and he knows that. So we went to a Latin jazz concert with one of his friends that he's had since high school, and his friend's wife. And he's always said that he used to play drums, but I ain't never met a drummer that didn't have rhythm. Like you can't dance worth a shit. Like
you gotta have
no rhythm. Like how do you play drums?
Feel the beat, sir.
Yeah, but it was so funny because they're playing, the drummers. And he's like, yeah, I used to play percussion. And his friend known him since they was kids. He's like looking at him like, really? And he's like, yeah, and we used to travel around Boston sometimes, and we used to play. And one time we opened up for Nicki Minaj when she came, and we all stopped and like I glanced at them and they glanced at me. Now, mind you, Nicki Minaj is the same age as us, so there's no way you were playing at the age you said you were playing and opening up as a opening act for Nicki Minaj at a concert. We was all in high school. She was still in high school. Like it was just very weird. And then when I thought about it later, some of the other stories he told, I'm like, yeah, that was a lie. That wasn't true. He made that
did not happen.
That didn't happen at all. Didn't happen at all. It was just very weird.
With you saying, I'm actually looking up how to deal with narcissistic people. And one of them is don't take them at face value.
Yes.
You can't believe shit they say.
You cannot believe anything.
You cannot.
Because they don't have any empathy. They don't mind lying to get what they want. And if they want you and they got to lie to do it, then that's
what they're going to do.
That's exactly what they're going to do.
They will do it. So yeah, definitely don't take what they say at face value. Number one, know what a narcissist is. Make sure you got your checklist together.
So
all about red flags now. That red flag.
That red
flag. And when those red flags start popping up, do not
leave.
Well,
yes,
but do not give them any ammunition. Give them none, zero. Don't explain yourself to these people. Just walk away. Quick, fast, and in a hurry.
You're not going to be able to negotiate with them. You're not going to change them. You're not going to make them better. You're not going to help them. You're not going to reform them. They're just, you're just not going to be able to do that.
It's a losing battle.
It's a losing battle, and they're very aware of that themselves.
Yeah.
If you give them supply,
they will feed off of it.
They will do whatever they need to do to get that supply from you. And when you go to leave, it's going to be an uphill battle because to your point, Nikki, it's not on their terms if you decide to leave. They're going to do whatever it is that they think they need to do to get the upper hand so that they can be the ones to have the good story and at the very end. Like I can only imagine the story that my ex is telling people.
Right. Oh, you're probably the worst person out there.
I'm probably
the devil in his book.
Yes.
I know that in that story I am, because like that last letter he sent me, one of the things was like, oh, you made me a sucker because I spent all this money when you came to Boston. I'm thinking like, I bought my own ticket. Most of the time I paid for my own food. Matter of fact, the last time I went, he picked me. I flew into New Hampshire because it was cheaper. So we ended up hanging out there for a little bit. So we go to eat and, I don't mind paying, we go back and forth with as far as the paying, but he was like, oh, yeah, let me take you out to lunch. Blah, blah, blah. So we're sitting at the table. I'm ordering a drink and ordering my wings. I think it was like Buffalo Wild Wings or wherever we went. And he's like, oh, you're ordering. And I'm looking at the menu like, oh, I don't have that much money. I was like, you know what? Don't worry about it. I got it. And I ended up paying for this. I paid for it. He was like, oh, you're a baller. And I'm like, It was $40. Number one, it ain't that much. Number two, like you don't pay for shit. Because I remember one time, like he said it in a joking way, because he was doing this whole he want to move in. I was like, no, if you're moving to Florida, that's fine, but you will be in your own place. You will not be moving with me. Like that's not going to happen. Oh well, yeah, you're the one that's got all the money. I'm like, where do you think I got all this? Why do you think I got all this money? Oh yeah, and you can, and I could be a stay-at-home dad, because his previous relationship, that's basically what it was. She worked and he stayed home and took care of their daughter. Oh yeah, and I could be the stay-at-home, And I was just like, nah, nope, not with me. Not with me, sir. That will never happen.
Trying. He was trying
really
so
was.
hard.
My ex tried that too. He was like, "You make all the money, and you could, I could just go here and just write my books, and I'm like, you've been writing the same book for like the last 10 years. When you actually gonna like
publish it?
Can
I read it? Where's a manuscript?
And I don't think that he actually, and I don't think he actually liked the fact that I was pushing him to publish it and get it edited and do all the things. Like he was going through all these fake motions, and I would find him editors, and then for some reason that editor wasn't good enough for, and I'm like, are you going to do this book or not? Like, what are you going to do? Yeah, and
he just wanted to seem important without really being important.
And I paid for almost everything. And then like during the breakup, he was like, I washed your drawers. I mean, I love you because I washed your drawers and I made you coffee in the morning.
That coffee thing.
Girl, I can wash my own drawers
and make my own fucking
and make my own and make my own coffee. That and if that's all, like I'm looking at the clock, like if that's all you can list that you did with me,
I really don't need you.
Yeah, but what he was like very I don't think I noticed it in the beginning, maybe because I wasn't around that much or around him that much. Like me and you always hung out, but he wasn't necessarily there.
He didn't want to meet anybody like that. He never wanted to, like, that's something he was very wary about meeting friends. I'd be like, come meet my friends, come be a part of my life. Where are your friends, by the way? Like in the one friend that he had was trash. And it was like, well, where are your people? And here's some of my people. And he would be like, I don't want to meet. I can't, we have to live our life. We have to be separate and independent. And I'm like,
when I remember thinking like the last, whatever the times I was coming over the last maybe 2 or 3 times, and I'm looking at him and he's getting the coffee and he's getting the drink, and I mean it was very hospitable, like, oh okay, like okay, well thank you. But he was going over the top. Yeah, it just reminded me of like, I don't know, it was weird. It is like a child, like you want to please. So like, oh, you spilled the water. I got it. Don't worry. I got it.
You're going to like me. They're going to like me.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I'm just like, okay. All right. But I didn't say anything. It was just like, it's just an observation at this point. I still haven't been around him that much, to make a solid, conclusion. But it was like slightly like weird. Like, oh, he's really, really aiming to please. And like, I don't know.
To come off to look like the good guy. He was trying to come off and look like the good guy.
Yeah,
and it's like now it's like
savior,
right?
Mm-hmm. Right. He did not.
How was it for you breaking up with Felicia?
Yeah,
for like leaving for good, because he's actually been diagnosed as a narcissist. Mm-hmm. So you're one who actually dealt with an actual one.
I think I just
for sure
told you about this story recently. When I left, because I left one time and ended up having to go back. And a month later, I ended up going back, leaving, sorry. I was out of town with my daughter just for the day. And we came back. He was, I don't know if I'll leave that part out. He was sitting at the entrance of my apartment complex, waiting for me. I had on a dress that he had bought. And he is trying to pull up my dress to see if I had on underwear.
Out in the parking lot?
Yes, in the parking lot. Coming by randomly, trying to, I'll just put out there, he's an ex-cop. So he kind of would use and abuse that power a little bit. And I think him having that personality disorder and that was a recipe for disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because it already gives you a God complex because they think they can do whatever they want to do at that point. Mm-hmm. And then just coming by, just making, little comments. It was really, really bad. Letters, I did, emails. I got long emails talking about, people I was dating, what he thought they were going to do to me, how much of a not good person I am, for lack of better words. Just, it was bad for a very long time. I think now, knock on wood, things are calm. Yes, knock on all the wood you can, please. It's calm. Haven't had any issues, and I think because I just stopped feeding into it. Like we would go at it, and that was the child custody and child support case that went on for 2.5 years, closed and then reopened again because he got mad and in his feelings and wanted to take me back. It was just very long and tiring, and he was just angry that I didn't give in to what he wanted and being with him. He was mad that I chose to be with women instead of running back to him. Mm-hmm. Not realizing that, this is, I didn't want you for this reason. Right. I just didn't want to be with men, of course, because you're batshit fucking crazy too. Yeah. Like you're literally trying to get my passwords, you're listening to my conversations, getting into my phone, standing over me while I'm sleeping in full uniform. I mean, it was crazy.
Girl.
I would wake up. Oh yeah. And what's crazy? He used to do it to my daughter too. Like whenever he would come and have conversations with her, instead of being that father to, come and, what's wrong, what's going on? Why are you acting like this? No, because when you stand like this, right, that's trying to intimidate the person that you're speaking to, especially being an officer. Mm-hmm. That's how they try to intimidate the suspect. And he would use the same thing with his kid. And he would do the same thing to me. Girl. And it got real ugly real fast until I stopped feeding into his bull crap.
So and you just stopped arguing with him.
So what I started doing, instead of going back and forth with him on, oh, well, you're like this and you did this and, I never did. I stopped doing that. I just started spitting facts whenever he would text me anything that had absolutely nothing to do with her. Mm-hmm. Or if he texts me, oh, well, I'm going to take her, and which he did twice and wouldn't give her back. But, mm-hmm. My point is, so me being in the legal field now, I would just start sending legal jargon because I knew what I was at this point. I've been doing it for 6 years, so I knew what I was talking about. Mm-hmm. If you have nothing to discuss with me that has to do with her, oh, that's what you're going to do? Well, per the statute X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, 4 says
receipts and facts. Yeah.
Listen.
Shut him all the way down. Oh, well, you think you're so smart and it's not that I think I'm smart and that I know what I'm talking about. This is what I do for a living. You want to take me back to court? I will see you in court. Done. Finished. Mm-hmm. So once again, it took years. You figure she's going to be 17. This took a long time to get to this point, because when somebody's constantly coming at you like that, your first, jerk reaction is to defend yourself, because no, I'm not like that. No, I'm not. This is what I'm trying to do. Why are you telling me I'm being this way when I'm being the complete opposite? Shut all that shit down. I don't care what you think at this point. You can go and you can go kick rocks with open toe shoes. How about that, sir?
Yes. That was something that I saw. There's a lady who deals specifically with like leaving narcissists on Instagram. I can't think of her name right now, but she's awesome. But one thing a tactic that pretty much described what you just did, it was called like gray stonewalling, mm-hmm. which is when mm-hmm. they do come at you, mm-hmm. stonewall. You don't give them the normal reaction that they've come to expect from you. Mm-hmm. You start different. You start giving them gray. You give them neutral.
Mm-hmm. Them that's exactly what I did. There was no
off of that
emotion at all.
And they have
nothing else to give you, sir.
Yeah.
Nothing. If you cannot respect me, you cannot respect your own daughter. I have nothing for you. I could give 2 flying shits if you ever see her again. And I know that sounds horrible because, dads can be an important part. But you, sir,
you
have literally put us through hell. You can go and suck on somebody's toe for all I care.
Right, girl.
So yeah,
that. So
I got the ugly, the nasty part. Yeah.
Yeah, the stonewalling, I could see how that, because even like a couple other people that I've dealt with that probably were narcissists, that's what stopped them. Is I just became anything you say, okay, all right.
Okay.
And I give you like literally
if that makes
nothing.
you happy.
I become so good at it that I basically seem emotionless most of the time. I'm not.
She really not, y'all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nobody got time for that.
I don't have the energy.
And then it just gets them so worked up, and then they just stop.
And they stop. Yep.
Like, oh, why are you being like this? I'm not being like anything. Oh, well, you really ain't got nothing to say. I have nothing to say.
No.
Conversation
I'll sit
done.
there and let you roll, like just yell, and I'll sit there and just let you, and then be like, "Are you done? Did you say everything you needed to say?" If I start talking, you're right. If I start talking and you interrupt me, that means you're not done, and then that means I'm gonna go walk.
Well, the good news is,
don't expect loyalty from these people.
No, definitely not. They're gonna go to wherever they can feed whatever it is that they're needing, whether it's the admiration or the, the feelings of grandiose,
yes,
they're going to go where it don't matter what type of relationship, don't matter how long you've been in a relationship, they're going to go where they are being fed.
Yep.
And they will find their next, host to leech off of.
And don't feel bad, y'all. Stop feeding them. Don't
feel bad. And that's the thing. They will leech onto that. And they typically will find, it's a statistic, like a lot of times, like these people will find high empathetic
just about
people.
To say that. Empaths, that's who they go for.
Yep. They go for empaths because we typically tend to, and I say we, because we're pretty much all empaths, and we have an overabundance of energy when it comes to care and love and attention and nurturing. We, if not over nurture. That's our own challenge to work through, but we tend to overpour. We have an overabundance of it, and they're like, you have extra emotion to give.
I want
and
that
they
one
find
right
that. I can milk
they can smell it. They're like bloodsuckers,
right?
So that's where it becomes important to be like, protect your energy, and it's cliche, but it's true. You have to, because there are people that are out there looking for it in order to not just take the extra that you're giving, but to purposely go in and try and suck you dry. And narcissist, it's like, for me, a clinical energy vampire.
But we like to end on a positive note. So if you are dealing with a narcissist, get out
now.
Wow. Now. There's no saving it.
If you're hearing some of these things and they describe you, get help.
Like, let me try to find me an apartment right quick so I can start
break away.
You fit some of these symptoms. Get yourself some help. Okay, don't let it get bad.
And it's not going to be hard to leave. It's not going to. It's not going to be easy to leave. It might be one of the hardest things you might feel like you will ever have to do in that moment in your life. But trust me, when you do, it will be the most freeing thing you will ever do in your life.
You're gonna exhale and be like, "What the fuck did I just do?
Exactly.
How long did I do that for?
You're gonna feel like the sky just brightens up,
right? You're just gonna be like, whoosh. I'm free. Why did I stay down there? What was that? Like, you're gonna be so like, what was that? But you're gonna have to tear yourself away, especially if you've been in it for a while. But it is possible, and you can.
It's gonna hurt, but you got this.
Yeah, we'll do our affirmation. Ladies. Oh, my mama. Oh, my I look good. That sounds kind of narcissistic, doesn't it? It's talking about ourselves. Here we go.
Yeah, but you know what? There's a difference. I was just about to say that. There's one thing of just being, overly obsessed with yourself and being confident.
Right.
And knowing who you are. There is a big, big difference. We are just confident, and that is a good thing. And we will continue to be.
That song got a nice beat to it. I like the beat.
Yes,
You could have been rapping about chicken. I still don't know, like, hey. Okay.
Oh, my nuggets.
Y'all making me hungry now. I'm hungry.
Time to eat. Our social media.
Yes.
Forget about that. Yes.
Deleon Fitness, Instagram. Felicia Deleon, Facebook. Check it out.
At Tootsie Roller 12 or at where I'm going _ under each word.
And here we go. Let's roll.
List them out.
List them out.
So we got Nickcat _8201. That's NIKE_8201. That's my personal page. Rap Queen 82. That is the head rap page. Get you looking nice. Of course, the podcast page for all of us is Nija Knows on Instagram, on TikTok. Y'all forgive me, it's on like 2 videos, but I'm gonna get back to it. TikTok, and also, this is episode number 7 for us. So our previous season 1, we did 10, so we are nearing the end. So what we are asking, and what I think will be really cool, last time we did a live and we did a game, but we are wanting questions from you guys to send to us. Ask about anything. We will answer, of course, what we're comfortable with, but ask anything. It don't matter what it is. Nothing doesn't have to be anything specific. If you want to know something about Felicia, I want to know what your favorite food is. It don't matter. But send us your questions. You can do that on Instagram. You can DM us. Again, that's Nija Knows, NAIJAKNOWS on Instagram. We also have an email. You can email us. It's nijanows1@gmail.com. So either one of those, or even if you put a comment on one of the posts, I see all the comments. So ask any and everything. Hopefully we'll get some good questions that we can answer. And on YouTube, Nija Knows on YouTube, you can comment on there, put your questions in there as well. We will be able to see them. And then for our season finale, or episode 10, we will answer questions, and we just gonna talk about whatever and have fun.
Yes. And hit the like button, guys. Subscribe, share, tell your people.
Yes. Like, subscribe, share.
Yes.
All right.
Right,
all hearts
y'all.
and minds are full.
Yes.
The doors of the church are open.
The ushers are like, get out. Leave now. Thank you. Just done.
All right, y'all.
All right. Peace out.